The seasons passed, and both Scott and Kenny left for nearby regions of Kansai. I would miss them, my longest flatmates. First of the new batch was a 40-year-old thoughtful Buddhist and all-round nice guy Mark, who was coming to Japan partly for religious reasons. Enter Johnny Spinal, the 21-year-old Canadian with a bigger sex drive than Ron Jeremy. He'd come to Japan to score chicks, play video games and watch manga, a little different from the enlightened pursuits of his other new flatmate. The two got along for the first few days, but when Johnny accused Mark of stealing his internet bandwidth, the shit hit the fan. The benefit of having such different flatmates was that I could do different things with them. With Mark, I visited temples like Kinkakuji, the Golden Temple. Incidentally, there's a golden weather vane in the shape of a chicken on top of this temple. If you ever visit it, you can impress those around you as I did with this smart comment. Just like me, my cock always points towards the wind. Mark also accompanied me to Toji markets, which were cool, but my favourite spot in Kyoto is Ryoanji Temple and its famous rock garden. With Johnny, on the other hand, I visited a Maido Kissa, or maid cafe, where women dressed up as French maids greet you as a master, attend to you closely, and even stir your coffee. I have to admit to not quite getting this one. Something else I wasn't getting were my students. This was a letter from a lovely lady, Yukio. My favourite part is the last line on the second page. Meanwhile, at home, I noticed that immediately after Prime Minister Koizumi's main reform, the privatization of the post office, the country changed direction in a heartbeat. It appeared as though Koizumi had pushed through the reform to break the long-standing nexus between corrupt government officials and the developers. As they contemplated the drying up of funds during the coming period of economic rationalization, construction companies actually started to build something rather than just burying things and then digging them up again, as was their wont. That's not all I saw. We believe this was an act of dogging, a relatively new phenomenon whereby people meet for public sex and post details on the internet so others can participate or watch. I saw time-honoured festivals where I heard the whispers of these people's ancestors. I saw the funniest characters imaginable on television and at the local bars. I endured the hottest days I've ever had to. The humidity bakes you here from the inside, and you're drenched in sweat the moment you leave the house. I made good friends, just plain nice people. I had some really fun times, although I didn't always know what I was doing, or what others were doing. My time was drawing near. It had been 2 years, and the job, which now included teaching a lot of kids, was sucking the life out of me. After quitting the job, I spent a month hanging out and saying goodbye to the people who I had come to care about. Some of my students cried, some bought me gifts. Tsukio got me a hookah. It's not unusual that a final impression will come to inform your understanding of something, or perhaps reinforce your existing notions. So it was with my final moments in Japan. It nearly wasn't to be. I arrived at the airport with about 10 kilograms of baggage over the limit. I was alerted to this fact by a polite local girl at the check-in. The fee for such a load was excessive, and so I excused myself to find the nearest bin, where I disposed of books, towels, clothes, all manner of things. Back at the check-in, I discovered I was still 3 kilos over the allowed weight. Oh well, I thought, I need everything else in my bag, so I told the girl I'd pay the fee. The check-in girl was suddenly interrupted at that point by a lady over her shoulder who had been watching. It turns out she was the supervisor and had kindly offered to waive the excess baggage fee on account of my good grace. So it was that I left Japan with the goodwill of those who mattered. Nova, the company I worked for, collapsed about a year after I left. It wasn't a surprise to me, and for the most part it's a case of good riddance. I had searched for an apt metaphor for life in Japan during my time there, but it came unexpectedly a while after my departure. A documentary on the Hanshin Kobe earthquake of 1995 that I watched detailed the story, among others, of a truck driver who was driving along a raised highway at the moment the quake struck. The road in front of him collapsed as his truck skidded to a halt. When the vehicle eventually came to rest, the back half remained on the surviving piece of road, while the front half was dangling over the edge of a 20-meter drop. The man managed to extricate himself from the incredibly dangerous situation and somehow climbed down to the ground. He called his boss to tell him the incredible story, but his boss didn't believe him. In fact, he ordered the driver to stop acting stupidly and said that if the truck was having some sort of trouble, to make sure he retrieved the logbook. Well, being a good Japanese, the driver did just that. He climbed back up the seriously damaged elevated highway into the truck, got the logbook out, and made it down safely again. That right there is Japan. A dutiful and honest man, a stupid boss, an earthquake, and a lucky escape in order to face it all again tomorrow.
2回、なぜ2回頑張る？
ああ、オッケー。2回で3回。
3回。
なんでか言ったら、日本の、まあ多分世界やもんけど、まず1にプッシュ、オッケー、プッシュ。ナンバー2、マネー。ディナー、晩ご飯買う。まあプレゼントとか。プレゼント。まず1番にプッシュ。カモン、プッシュ。で、マネー。プレゼント。3番は
Part the beef curtain。
フェイス。顔とかこの持ち物。道具。パーツ。
ファックできる。
パーツ。
Part the beef curtain。Open the beef curtain。
まあこの3やな。この3つ大事。
That's the holy trinity。
大事。
3 dates。
1にプッシュ。2マネー。3パーツ。
Open the box。
フェイス。
Face first。Chop。Kiss。Face。このハートかな。ハート。 漢字。
まあ漢字な。まあなんで1番プッシュ、2にマネー、で3にまあフェイスでハート。オッケー。だからプッシュ。
分かった。